Maximilian Karl Emil Weber, or prominently known as Max Weber. First of all, about the pronunciation of the word Weber. It can be either pronounced as Weber or Weber. Both doesn't matter, as one is the American way of pronunciation, whereas the other one is the European way of pronunciation. But it doesn't matter, as the name itself is a German name. So here we can go with Max Weber. Max Weber occupies a significant place in the science of administration. His contributions were mainly to the concept of bureaucracy and has strengthened the concept which made itself to be known as Weberian Model, which itself laid the foundation for many other studies in related to the concept of administration. The concept of bureaucracy has existed both in the private as well as in the public organizations, and it was there with the human beings from the time of civilized life. The German historian and sociologist Max Weber has analyzed the concept and identified the characteristics of bureaucracy, and this has been further studied by many of the researchers, and they have emerged with many theories on the basis of the Weberian model of bureaucracy. For the students studying public administration, the Weberian model of bureaucracy plays an important role in analyzing the functioning of the government as well as in understanding the day-to-day activities of an organization. Personal life and career. Maximilian Karl Emil Weber, or Max Weber, was born in then Prussia, right now in Germany, on 21st April 1864. He was born to a wealthy family where his father was very active in the politics as well as was a law professional in the area of Thuringia in Prussia. So, as a student in the year 1882, he specialized in law at the University of Heidelberg, but has left his studies and joined the German army in the year 1884. He served in the German army for about 1 year, and after 1 year of his service in the army, he left the army and started his education. In 1886, he completed his education and enrolled himself for research in the university. By 1889, he was awarded with his doctorate, and he specialized his studies on the history of medieval trading companies. In the year 1889 itself, he enrolled himself as an instructor at the University of Berlin, and it was during this time he started with his intellectual works. In the university, he was handling the subject law, and during this time, he completed one of his famous work, the Roman agrarian history and its significance for public and private law. And by 1891, the works was completely done by Max Weber. When we focus on the works of Weber, we can find that he used to specialize himself with the subjects like law, social aspects, political aspects, economical aspects, and all these were the factors which were prevalent on his times. That means that was the time when Max Weber was living. He used to deal with the activities of the society and derived his own concept regarding these subjects which he was specialized. In the year 1894, he became a professor of political economy at the University of Heidelberg. Here he used to deal with the subject politics as well as economics and law. In the year 1897, he enrolled himself as a professor at the University of Heidelberg, where he started his studies, and there he dealt with the subject economics. It was during this period suddenly he had to face his father's demise. This has really affected him mentally as well as physically. This made him to quit the profession and he started to travel around the world, especially Europe and USA. This was during this time he readily gathered many practical knowledges and he came up with his famous works. He spanned across the aspects of economics, history, politics, and also dealt with the religious aspects. All these experience made him to finally carve out with his contributions to the subject's sociology. After a long gap for about 20 years, he returned back to his profession teaching in the year 1980 and he started his profession at Vienna and later at Munich. He continued with the teaching profession. Unfortunately, he was passed away during this time, and that was the time when he was at the zenith of his intellectual career. His works and intellectual powers were incomplete as he left this world without completing many of his intellectual works. The Weberian ideology pays more importance and stress to the practical experience than research experience or library experience. He himself derived all these from his observations and made him to give his inputs based on the practical aspects he gathered from spanning across the world. He was also very active in the politics and was one of the founders of the German Democratic Party. His contributions are very famous while drafting the then Weimar Constitution of Germany. Weber is also famous for his works in the field of sociology and is one of the most important personality in framing the modern sociology at its present form. He also made his contributions to the field of history, psychology, political science, public administration, and also comparative religious studies. There are many contributions and works done by Max Weber. Some of the most important works done by Max Weber are the theory of economics and social organizations, general economics history, Protestant ethics, and spirit of capitalism. The theory of authority organization, and legitimacy. Max Weber explained the concept of bureaucracy by exploring the typology of authority. So, the theory of authority, organization, and legitimacy holds a supreme position in framing the Weberian model of administration. The theory spans across the aspects of leadership and the perspectives on which the society molds the leadership. To mold the leadership, according to Weber, the most important aspect needed is power. So, according to Weber, a person can establish power if he is in a position in getting the social relationship, and through that relationship he can enforce the power without any resistance. The power lies with the acceptance or the legitimacy held by the person in the society. This legitimacy is granting him the authority, and thus the person is able to establish his authority. Now we can identify the five components needed to establish authority. First one, an individual or a body of individuals who rule. This is about the person who rules or delivers the authority or power. So this is the foremost component needed to establish an authority, a person to rule. Second one, an individual or a body of individuals who are ruled. So if a person is there to rule, definitely there should be some persons to be ruled. So this is about the authority where it is going to establish. So very easily about the people. The first one was about the ruler. Second one is about the people who are going to be ruled. Third one, the will of the rulers to influence the conduct of the ruled, and an expression of that will or command. This is about the reactions towards the authorities concerned, how they are going to make themselves in establishing the authority. Fourth one, evidence of the influence of the rulers in terms of the objective degree of command. This is about the authority, how he rationally hold the authority. So it should be the most important aspect, how he is going to rationally deal with the matters. And finally, direct and indirect evidence of that influence in terms of subjective acceptance with which the ruled obey the command. This is the response happen towards the authority, how the ruled are being responding towards the authority which is ruling over them. So these five are the most essential component needed for an authority to establish itself in the procedure of delivering the authority. So according to Weber, the acceptance or legitimacy is the most needed aspect in terms of establishing an authority. If the legitimacy is not there, then the authority is not in a position to establish itself in a position to rule. So if the legitimacy is not there or the acceptance is not there for the authority, vaguely the authority will be delivering with the powers. So he categorized the persons in an organization into four. First one, accustomed to obey the commands. It is about the one who are to be ruled. They are in a position to obey the commands. They have to obey the commands of the authority, and it is the only way the authority can establish his power over the people. Second one, interested in the domination as they derive benefits. This is about the category of people who are directly getting benefits out of the authority. So they are in a position to be with the authority as they are enjoying or deriving the benefits directly from the authority. The third one, participate in domination as they are the integral part. This is the group which are the part of the authority, or is the group which holds the positions as authority. So they are the most responsible one, and they cannot be separated from the process as they themselves indulge with the process of delivering the authority. And finally, ready to hold the functions. This is about the readiness, how an individual or an authority himself is in a position to deliver his readiness for the deliverance of authority. So these are the stages which happens at the levels of authority. Here again, Weber points out that the authority is being accepted by the people by considering three facts, and these three facts holds the base for the theory of bureaucracy. The three facts or reasons for legitimacy are tradition, charisma, and law. According to Max Weber, the three types of authority which envisages the authority to establish itself are: the first one, traditional authority. In the traditional authority, the acceptance or the legitimacy is granted to the authority based on certain convictions of the past. Here, the power granted can be based on certain practices followed by the society for a big period or for a long period of time. For example, if you take the Christianity, you can find that the authority established by the clergy or the priest over the people. Here, the people are accepting the clergy or the priest because they are following the authority as a tradition, and the traditional acceptance made the priest to command over the people, and the people are in a position to accept the commands. So traditionally they are following these aspects. Here you can find the people as followers, whereas the priest or the clergy as the masters, and there is no importance to the rationality or any legal aspects, because traditionally this has been followed by the people, or they are accepting this authority without any objections. For them, it is the part of their custom, or it is the part of the rituals. They have to accept the domination of that particular authority, as their tradition or their culture will be based on that particular traditional authority. In the year 1894, He became a professor of political economy at the University of Heidelberg. Here he used to deal with the subject politics as well as economics and law. In the year 1897, he enrolled himself as a professor at the University of Heidelberg, where he started his studies, and there he dealt with the subject economics. It was during this period suddenly he had to face his father's demise. This has really affected him mentally as well as physically. This made him to quit the profession, and he started to travel around the world, especially Europe and USA. This was during this time he readily gathered many practical knowledges, and he came up with his famous works. He spanned across the aspects of economics, history, politics, and also dealt with the religious aspects. All this experience made him to finally carve out with his contributions to the subject's sociology. After a long gap for about 20 years, he returned back to his profession teaching in the year 1980, and he started his profession at Vienna and later at Munich. He continued with the teaching profession. Unfortunately, he was passed away during this time, and that was the time when he was at the zenith of his intellectual career. His works and intellectual powers were incomplete as he left this world. Legal authority. According to Weber, the legal authority is one which is granted to a person based on certain statutes or laws. Here, the validity of the authority is based on the provisions granted to the authority by certain laws. The legality of the authority is more concerned than his charisma or traditions. Legally, he should be in a position to lead the people. Here, the authority has to perform based on certain procedures, and these procedures or functions will be having certain orders or decorum where he or she cannot go beyond that. Here, the organization is the permanent one, but the authority is subjected to certain rules and procedures, and he cannot establish himself over the rules and regulations of the organization. The organization will be having more importance than the authority, and the authority will be subjugated to the legal aspects which are maintained for the functioning of the organization. For example, the constitutions which we are having in our countries. So the prime ministers, presidents, all has to obey the constitution, and it is the constitution which will be the supreme one, and everyone has to go beyond behind the procedures and conditions which are mentioned in the constitutions. According to Weber, among all the three authorities, the acceptance of the people or the legitimacy of the people is the most needed one. Here, the leadership should be accepted by the people, and it shows the ability of the leader in establishing himself among the people. Thus, it is the time which makes the organization to make itself to the conditions and in accepting the authority. As per the Weber's view, he considers the legal authority as the most appropriated one in establishing the authority. To him, it is the most suitable and appropriate type of authority as it is having rationality. Weber gave importance to rationality. As to him, rationality is the basis in establishing a perfect authority. Without rationality, an authority is not in a position to establish the authority in a perfect way. The Weberian model of bureaucracy lies on the basis of the principles of legitimacy. And to establish the authority, the legitimacy is the most needed one in the bureaucracy. According to Weber, the legal rationality is the base for establishing a better bureaucracy. And to frame the characteristics of Weberian model of bureaucracy, Weber stresses more on the legal rationality. Thank you all for watching the sessions. The Weberian model of bureaucracy can be discussed in the coming sessions. I hope you all like the sessions. Hoping for your kind support. Kindly subscribe my channel. If you like the sessions, kindly like the video and press the bell button so that the coming sessions can be easily accessible. Hope your subscriptions. Meet you in the coming sessions. Thank you.